Guerrero. Hey guys,
Howdy.
Hey,
nice to see you.
Nice seeing you.
Before the show, you were telling me how many years you've been at this, and I couldn't believe it. It's been that long. How many?
13.
Wow.
13. We started 2012.
Well, thanks for keeping it going. Thanks for keeping our community history going.
yeah,
How is?
it's a pleasure.
Good.
It's steady. It's steady. We don't have since 7 Block shut down, we don't have as many bus tours as we used to. But I had a bus earlier this spring, a small bus, and we just opened in April. In fact, last weekend was our first tour of the month of this year,
Nice.
regular tour.
A lot of people have no idea about the history of the prison, and Jackson was the prison city for many, many decades. That
Yeah,
was our nickname.
the prison history is really the history of Jackson. Without the prison in the early days, we wouldn't have had the industry. We wouldn't have had all the trains coming to Jackson. So the prison really did build the town in more ways than one, and that's a big part of it. Or as Steve likes to say, Jackson had his choice between the prison and the University of Michigan. Is that how you say that?
No, I said we went after the prison. We didn't
Oh, we went after the prison. That's right.
Yeah, yeah. I tell people, because if you walk around with this on your shirt, people come up to you and say, "We had a choice back then."
Yeah.
And, I don't even think there was a choice back then, but it was we wanted it. Ann Arbor wanted it too.
It is an urban legend, and I think you're right. It really wasn't up to us. We, as a community, didn't choose the
No,
prison over a university.
no, and
No, we didn't. And
yeah, we
Let's-
wanted the prison just like Adrian did, and Ann Arbor did, and Marshall did, and there's like 7 different villages that want it. We weren't even the largest village in Jackson County back then. Spring Arbor was bigger than
Really?
we were. Yes, so we wanted to grow.
Well, we wanted the employment opportunities, I think, right?
Sure, sure, and that was I don't know if Spring Arbor went after the prison, but I think they might have.
This also was the seat of our manufacturing, where the prison is. This is where it all began, right?
Right. It brought the first business that went into the prison was the Jackson Wagon Company, and they became a major manufacturer for a good share of the 19th century.
I know Jim loves to say this, but they used to make hose.
they did.
They did.
They did used to make hose. And
They made hose. Let's take a look at the website. This is where you can find out all about the tours. Tell us as we look at these shots what the tour entails and how people that live here can be a part of the tour.
Well, go to Jackson or historicprisontours.com, and we can and just book the tour. It will come up on the website there, and actually I saw that in March we offered a deal, 15% off. In April we're offering a 10% off deal. That's for any tour that's booked throughout the year, because you can go in and book one for October if you want to go in today and book a tour. But if you book it, you get 10% off if you do it before the end of April.
So the prison, their first prison it was called the Armory because it was an armory for a long
Right.
time, and now it's an apartment building.
Apartment building, and yeah, we don't take you through the apartments, obviously. They get disturbed when you do that, but we do take you into the dungeon, and we take you into around in the yard out there. I mean, the walls out there are just fascinating. If you look at the walls, and there's 3 different generations of walls out there. So it's,
Now, in the building itself, there, you go inside, but down under in the what you call the dungeon?
yeah, we go to
Yeah,
solitary.
we call it solitary confinement, which is where it was, and that's always interesting because you have some people who are scared to go down there. Most people are not, but it's an interesting place to visit. We have built a cell down there so we can show what it was like when you were down there in the dark. And every single prisoner who came to Jackson's prison, every one of them spent their first 2 weeks on that floor in the dark for 2 weeks to break their spirit.
Oh, no.
Every single one. And that tradition continues to today, not to break their spirits, but to, there's 83 counties in Michigan, and if a judge sentenced you to state prison, you come to Jackson, Michigan, as your first stop. So everybody who's ever been arrested and convicted of a crime, a state crime, has been here in Jackson.
Or the orientation center.
Yes,
The reception
and
and
guidance.
They call it the welcome center.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Now, you've probably picked up a lot of the information you talk about on the tour from people that have been on the tour. You've got like kids and grandkids of people who worked or even were inmates in the old prison.
I'll tell you what, the inmates were really interesting. We especially at cell block, but 7, we would get a lot of inmates, ex-inmates that come back with their family, and they would usually have a story. Sometimes they would just keep it quiet, and they would just come up to you and say, you know, I spent 5 years here or something.
What age, we see some kids in this photo, what age is the best age for the tour?
I've had kids as young as 8, and I think they've enjoyed it. Probably 10 or 11 is probably better, but yeah. And I had a bus load of teenage girls here back in March, and they were all into it. They loved it. They come from a school over near Detroit.
It depends a lot on the teacher. The teacher has a class on what went on with the prisons in Michigan. That helps a lot. And these kids he's talking about were well versed in the prison history. So it was an interesting tour for Steve. But we find a lot of people who know some of the history of the prisons. And for years, anywhere we used to go, oh, you live in Jackson, the prison city. Now the state of Michigan deliberately, when that prison, the new prison out on Cooper was commissioned, they named it the State Prison of Southern Michigan because the people who lived in Jackson at the time wanted nothing to do with Jackson in the name of that prison. And so that's why the legal name of it is the State Prison of Southern Michigan. Even today, it has not changed.
No, but Bill Bonds would always call it Jackson Prison. And
Yeah.
everybody outside of Jackson.
Everybody calls it Jackson Prison. Even the people who live here call it that. So,
All right, well, people that live here, you need to see it. Get on the tour schedule, give a call or visit the website. Guys, thanks for keeping our history alive.
Well, thanks for having us.
Good to see you both.
yes, thank you.
Yes, the tour guides at Jackson Historic Prison Tours, Steve Rudolph and Jim Guerrero.